Welcome to the podcast, everybody. Today I'm joined by Friesma from the Gold Coast, Australia. We've known each other for many, many years. Friesma is an entrepreneur. He's project leader of Gym Bros, a big NFT project. He's also an online coach, and he's owned a fitness clothing brand as well. He's one of the, literally, you're one of the first guys in the fitness industry that I watched, for real. And I think you're such a big inspiration. You know, you've been doing this for so many years, and we've connected, that time when I went to Australia to visit. And you were such a nice dude, and that's something you don't always see in the fitness industry. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that, man. And we're making some really big moves now outside of the fitness industry. Well, still within somehow with the NFTs. So anyway, happy to have you here today, man.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, I'm excited to be here, bro. I like how I just feel like this is cool. We can just have a chat. I feel like we keep in touch online all the time through messages and stuff like that.
Exactly, man.
When was the last time we actually had a chat? And that's why I love podcasts, because it's just like, man, like even for me, I haven't been making any content since we've launched Gym Bros, because it's just, for me, I'm like, there's so much to it. And like, I've done it for so many years and I've been through like so much stuff with it that I'm like, but you get me on a podcast, I'm like, yo, I'm so for a podcast,
That's good, man. Yeah, I saw that you haven't uploaded YouTube in quite some months. And I already thought that would probably had to do with Gym Bros.
Yeah.
That's good anyway. When did you actually get into the fitness industry? Like what age?
Yeah, that's a good question, bro. So when we say got into the fitness industry, it was probably when it didn't even technically exist online, like it had just started. So I made my Facebook page. I think it was probably about 4 months after Ziz died. I'd say so that what's that, like 2011 or something like that, maybe?
Really? 2011. Yeah.
Yeah, like quite a long time ago. Yeah. So I started on Facebook. That was my thing. I think I must have been like 20 years old, bro. And then
wow.
Ziz really inspired me, man. Like, so in New Zealand, and you probably know about Ziz and have.
Oh, I do. But like, honestly, like I found out about him like years after he died, So
years
for me,
after. Wow.
Oh yeah. So for me, I got into the fitness industry like years later, and I was watching your videos before I even made videos. You don't know that. You don't know that about me, but
I don't know that, bro. I was surprised.
I was like a secret fanboy. No, like for real. Like I was actually like, because there were only a few guys you could watch, right? So I was always interested in like finding new people to watch. And so the first videos that I saw from you were like these videos where it was like super dark outside and you would be shirtless, like doing this motivational talk stuff, right? You remember?
Yeah, bro. That was those were the big ones. Those were like the vids where people were like, yo, this.
Oh yeah.
Like it really, when you just got like a couple of pieces of content and then people just years later always remember it and are like, yo, this like changed my life or like did something.
Exactly, man. Yeah, that was very inspirational.
Those nighttime vids where I was talking, and it was hard because like there was a point where people were like, yo, we'll start doing these nighttime vids where you used to inspire the shit out of me and stuff. But it was like, it has to come naturally or else you're just trying to do the thing that people liked. But if you're not in the mood for it, it just doesn't feel authentic and the same. So I had to like, when I was doing those, bro, I was fucking serious,
That's awesome, man. So that was around this time, I guess, maybe a little bit later. But so how did Ziz inspire you to like? Did he inspire you to start trading or to start like your social media journey?
Yeah, so like with social media for sure. I started training when I was 13, more so from probably like Dragon Ball Z influence, I'd say, back then, and then just a couple of like big guys at my school that were like just jacks, and they just had crazy genetics, and they did a bit of training, and I was like, fuck, I want to fill out my shirt sleeves like that, our school shirts. And then kind of like looked at Arnold Schwarzenegger because like, again, I think that was like, did the internet even exist when I was 13? I don't even know, like probably not really. It was probably starting to, but in terms of any content that kind of wasn't there. So luckily, because a lot of people around my age, like I was really early into that fitness curve, like because it got way more popular when it was online and popularized. I was kind of like doing it before it was there. So when it got popular, I had already kind of like built a bit of a physique because I was already like doing it, which kind of, maybe gave me an advantage to being there early. Like by the time I started my Facebook page, I had a bit of a physique instead of like seeing it's popular and then trying to do the fitness or whatever it was. So, and with Ziz, like, I found out about him like 2 weeks after he died, I think. And I couldn't believe he was dead. And I really was so inspired by him, bro. Like being a young kid in New Zealand who was I was at university, literally not knowing what I was doing, like just studying the basic stuff. And I had so much like self-confidence issues where like I just really cared so much what people thought about me, to the point it was like crippling me a lot. Like, so I was just a very like plain person. Like I didn't put myself out there or like risk doing that at all. And then as soon as I discovered Ziz, and like you see him walking down the street and his like underwear shredded and stuff, you're like, not that I'm like, yo, that's sick, like I want to do that, but it's just like, oh fuck, like maybe it doesn't really matter what people think, these social barriers of what we constrain ourselves to. It's like, it's easy to get in those points where you're just doing, you're afraid to step out or like make an impact or a noise here and speak your truth here or whatever. But, I think a lot of people like live in that fear, and I definitely did. And it was a work in progress to break that. And starting my Facebook page was one of those things, because as soon as I started it in 2011 or 2012, whenever it was, I got a lot of hate, like from everyone around me.
Oh yeah, a lot of it?
Yeah. Just everyone that knew me is like, what are you trying to do? Trying to be famous or something, like. And it wasn't in a time where you could make a living off being online. So it was just kind of like, how narcissistic is this guy? Like,
you're doing this for attention, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like doing this for attention, thinking he's important, all that kind of stuff. But again, I just wanted to be somebody, and I'm glad I went down that path. It hasn't been the easiest path. It's where we are now. It's like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all that,
That's awesome, man. So how did you get acceptance from like getting these comments and, these hate reactions? How did you accept that and keep moving forward? Or maybe you had a hard time and still kept pushing?
Bro, it was really hard, because it was a lot of the pushback was from my like good friends and stuff,
Oh man, yeah.
It's always the people I find that know you the closest that are like,
they can hurt you.
When you try and evolve or try to do something different, they're like, well, you're not that guy because you've been this guy for all these years. Who do you think you are, like trying to be this guy? And it's like, I'm trying to be the guy I want to be for the world, for my success and my future and what I see as inspiring. Right on, man. To me, So, like dealing with the hate at the start was really tough, man. It was tough, but it got to a point, like as soon as I started monetizing off what I was doing online, as soon as my first thing I ever did was import bodybuilding stringers, like Gold's Gym ones. And I started a business, Bodybuilding Singlets NZ, and my online platform of like only a few hundred followers at the time on Facebook that I built, it led to sales of me being able to sell these things and make money to the point I could leave university and grow that business, of which I did, because I wasn't enjoying what I was doing at uni. So
wow, just from selling like the bodybuilding stringers?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. So I was, I think my first ones were fake that I was selling. They were like Thailand ones, but the cuts on them and the quality was like, I actually was really convinced they were real because the manufacturers told me they were real. And like, obviously now it would be fake, but back then when the internet was all fresh and like all the shit, you're just like, whoa, I'm getting these real Gold's Gym stringers. And like,
okay, so let's explain that a bit for the people that don't know. So you saw these stringers in the US, I guess. You saw Arnold wearing them, or like how did that start?
Well, it was more so like I watched Pumping Iron and saw Arnold wearing them, and I'm like, yo, this guy, like, and I was training in the gym, and I had nothing that I could see my physique in the mirror with unless I took my shirt off, which gyms like that. So which is why now Gym Bros, we're building our own fucking gym, bro. And I'm going to train shit whenever I want, bro. I'm just kidding. I don't have the physique anymore. I'm not peaking, but I'll get back there. But no, definitely like, yeah, it was just like seeing the gap in the market of like, oh, I want to train in this so I can see my body. And then like people just organically were hitting me up because I was like, yo, I think I posted my first samples I got and I was like, yo, this quality's sick. I'm going to import some of these. Who wants some? And then like heaps of people messaged me and they wanted some. And then I realized there was a demand there, and then just did a photo shoot in my dorm bedroom with like a couple of friends. And that sounds a bit gay, but
no, that's amazing, man. That's
Yeah.
amazing, man. You took an idea that worked somewhere else and you took it to your country, right? That's basically,
Yeah.
yeah, man, that's good.
And it was at a time as well, like I feel like now there's so much entrepreneurship online. Like back then it was yeah, like there was kind of none of that. So it was like really all just like a new thing.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, well, do I have it here? I thought
What's
I've got
that?
my bookshelf over there, but I'm rich. Actually, here we go. Here we go, Mariah. Have you read this?
Oh, definitely, man. It's one of the first five books I read, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. So my auntie gave me that.
Rich Dad Poor Dad is what he's showing.
Yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. So
Very
my
good
auntie
book.
showed me that when I was 13 years old. She said you can have $50.
That's a
She
great
said
age
she
to
said
show
if you,
someone.
oh man, amazing. So she said if you read this, I'm going to give you $50. And I was 13.
Wow.
And like I started reading it, and then I was so distracted. I was like, nah, like I just didn't. And then I'm like, why would I not read this for $50? So then I actually went back and read it. And I don't know if she ever gave me the $50. Like I think I read it when I was like 16, 17. Like I read it like 5 years later. And as soon as I read it, I just started looking at the world different.
Yeah.
And I just looked for opportunities. So
That's amazing,
yeah, definitely like I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for me just at that early age, just seeing how there's two different ways to live and exist in regards to, you know, business and money. Because I guess most people have that employee mindset. I guess like with online, like social media now, like entrepreneurship is a hot topic and it's really well known, but back then it wasn't. So I'm just really lucky that my auntie gave me that book.
Yeah. And I feel like it's well known, but then there's also like the wrong impression of entrepreneurship that a lot of people have now, that it's all so amazing and you know,
Yeah.
once you do something, it's all so easy and you make a lot of money and you live this dream, but they don't see
Yeah.
all the struggles that you also have to go through in order to get there. And I think that
Yeah.
message is right now like promoted a lot, like make entrepreneurship sexy, but there's a lot of things about it that are not sexy, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah, but anyway,
100%.
I'm very curious to know, like, did your friends like treat you differently after you got the success that were like hating on you before that?
Yeah, it was crazy because so like going back to that point, as soon as I got to the point I was making like maybe like $1,500 to $2,000 a week selling bodybuilding singlets. And that was like back then, like to be in uni and making an income like that was just insane. So I moved away from uni, and then I think people were like, oh shit, he's actually gone back to like, I went back to Auckland, which is up in the North Islands, and I was living with a friend of mine there. And I was just running this business out of the bedroom there because I was living with her family because my family was like an hour drive out of Auckland on a farm. So I wanted to be a bit more in the city and around like good gyms and stuff like that. And then, yeah, I think people really realized like, shit, this guy's left uni and he's doing, you know, like, so those same people came back and were like, oh, sorry, man, like I misjudged you, like to see the success you've had. Or maybe that was like a year later when the business actually, when I started Gym Season, that started doing well. And then I moved into like my own apartment. And then that's probably at the time, like if I go to like an old school party or something, people would come up to me and be like, oh, I used to fucking hate on you so much, but like respect, you know?
Yeah. What do you feel about that? Like,
bro, honestly, I was all good. I wasn't like, no, fuck yeah. I was like, no, it's all good, man. It's all good, man. Like I understand it. It's human nature. It's not you, it's your environment of, you know, where you're at with like any judgment or anything like that is just only a reflection of that person that's doing that judging, that hating. Like, and it sounds like people say that, but it really is so true.
it is.
You just have to remind yourself, even like now or whenever, like my hate is so much less now. Because I think I've been so consistent. No, I haven't been consistent over the years in terms of like always going like this, but in terms of my presence and always trying to just show that I'm here doing this, trying to make a good living and an honest living and doing like, you know, I'm here to stay. I think people are like, well, his consistency, he's stuck around all these years. And those, you know, people who used to hate are like, fuck, he's still here. Like you got to respect it, you know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I noticed that as well. There are some people that I hate over the years, and like even on YouTube videos, like watching every video, and then they slowly become an actual fan of what you do, you know, because they respect the grind anyway, like later on. But then you know, it's just this part inside of them. And like once you accept that, like you say, that it's not really the person, you know, and people can change also, like they can get different opinions.
Yeah. it's just, yeah, the situation usually and their habits of,
Yeah.
you know, where they've,
And honestly,
you know,
some people just cannot see what you can see, right? So if you have a certain vision, some people will genuinely not believe in it, and they will genuinely think that you make a wrong choice, or that as a friend you should not be doing that, or you should not change. And
yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like
There's a lot of a lot of my closest friends were like, bro, like, what are you doing putting these videos online? Because they were worried that too many people were going to like think weirdly of me, that it was going to fuck me up in life, you know?
right,
But
yeah.
like some people were really caring, you know, and even like
Exactly,
my mom and
yeah.
stuff. Like even when I'm just gonna close the door because the cats came in.
Right.
Even when like Gym Studies was doing really well and we started doing expos, some of the first expos in New Zealand and stuff, like my mom still wanted me to have a normal job. Like, and I'm like, Mom, this is killing it. This is doing well. And people were just like, had this mentality that it was all going to run out and there wasn't longevity in it in the online space.
Right. Yeah. We proved them wrong now. Hey, so I'm wondering, Freeze, like at some stage you started using anabolic steroids, and I'm really wondering why you made that choice. How old you were, like what year was this, and like what did you learn from that experience?
Yeah, for sure. And that's I bet we could have a great conversation on this because I know, you know, you've had your experiences as well. So yeah, so with me, I was probably about I'm just trying to think. So when I got into competing, so I had built a pretty decent natural physique, and then I started going to bodybuilding shows and I was competing. And for me back then, steroids was like only the really hard out, like older guys in the gym in the hoodies and like, you know, those kind of guys were the ones taking steroids, but they were like such a minority back then. Or like you're a professional bodybuilder, which was like, still there wasn't many back then, you know, at least in terms of in my gym, you know?
Yeah.
But then when I started doing these comps, I was competing naturally. And then there were people backstage and they were all talking about like, yo, but I'm taking all the clan, like the clan and the tests and like whatever the stuff that I was saying. And they were assuming that I was on it with them. And I'm like, I'm not, which was cool because it made me go, well, fuck, I don't even need it to keep up with these guys. And then my first thing was when I made the nationals in one of my comps, my men's physique comp. And I wanted to just go and like fucking win that shit. So I'm like, okay, what? I just want to get shredded and lean because that was my feedback of like I actually like size wise, I actually naturally can build quite good muscle, or I did back then. I actually find it harder now to hold more muscle in relation to body fat now because I have to eat a lot and I'm not as much of a big eater. But when I was young, I was like, I'll do that. And then, so my first thing I ever touched was actually Winstrol and clenbuterol. So Clem wasn't a steroid. Sorry, it isn't a steroid. And then Winstrol is, but back then I thought that steroids were only if you inject it. Like I didn't know that there was a oral steroid. It's not like, it's not like now on the internet where it's like, everyone knows that there's oral steroids. Like back then it was like, I was competing in this nationals show and I thought I was natural, but I was like 3.5, 4 weeks on Winstrol, which actually it did a fair amount. Like I definitely noticed it. Like I was shredding and I came to stage just looking like crazy. And even when I got to the nationals, people were asking me if I was running like tren and test and stuff like that, but it was actually only Winstrol and Clen. And then I had people saying, whoa, what the fuck, you're looking like this only on Winstrol and Clen. Next comp you do, it's chuck some tests in there because you're going to be insane if you're looking like that.
Yeah.
And then that's when I was like, okay, the next comp I do, I was just going to do my Winstrol and Clen again because I'm like, yo, that was the perfect combo. And then I got like a big bodybuilder in my ear that was like, add the test in, you know? So that was my, so maybe I was like 22 at that time, I think. And then like, I ended up doing it before a comp and I can't remember what it was. I think it was like tests and Nanthe and it was like maybe 300 to 350. Oh, actually, no, actually it was less. It was 250 to 300 mg a week. And I like was shredding for the show and I just blew up, bro. Like it was my water retention. So I was trying to do everything the same as I did in my last prep. And then
so those were those videos where you were at your peak shape. Like I've seen videos of you like looking crazy back in the day, like
Yeah. So
around
those
this
were
time.
only so yeah, that wasn't any test. That was just when I was with the Winstrol and Clem.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
yeah. But so
yeah,
you already look very good naturally, and probably these other guys you were competing with were already they may have not been training as long as you were started doing it earlier. That's
yeah. I
what you
think
see
so.
now as well. You see like I know there's a shit ton of guys like on a bunch of steroids that look worse than I did when I was natural, or Stan
Yes,
Man or
right,
you
yeah,
or the
100%.
other
Yeah,
guys. It's like training years they mean a lot, and genetics obviously as well.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
like you did this like a few times, then two times or whatever, and so at some point you decided to come off again.
Yeah, so that second show that I did when I actually put testosterone in, because basically people were like, "You look so crazy just on the Winstrol and Clen," and it was only like 3.5 weeks on that, and they couldn't believe what it did to me, so they knew like I'd be a good responder. So they're like, "Put tests in there." And I put the test in, and I like blew up, and I just held heaps of water weight, and I just tried to do my prep the same, and I couldn't, and I ended up pulling out of that show because I was just doing all my shit myself, and I didn't know how to handle, like, everything was different. My body wasn't responding the way it usually would.
Yeah.
And then I like didn't do the show, just ate heaps of food, blew out like crazy, like filled out like a motherfucker. And then I just like I didn't PCT at all. And then it was like maybe 6.5 weeks on test. And then even that, at only 250 mg, I came off it so bad. Like I started getting like acne on my shoulders. And I just lost my motivation for training because my test actually crashed really hard after that. And I was like, I'm never doing this shit ever again. And then I moved to Australia. I think it was the end of that year. I got back in shape again. And then I moved to Australia when I was just lean again and shredded. And I kind of like got my physique back. Like I wasn't peaking like I was before before I touched the test. Like I still didn't even look as good as what I did before it. Because like, I mean, you've had experience with tests that was crashing. It's crazy, the fluctuations, hey, like in terms of what you're physically seeing.
Oh man, it's well, it's the physical part and the mental part, obviously from
Oh yeah,
like what you see in the mirror even, but also just the way that the training goes is just so like, everything in life is just so tough when you have like zero tests, when they're crashing.
So much harder. So yeah, I moved to Australia, and then that next year I was around like people in the fitness industry who were big, who were like, I was like happy with where I was. And then I moved to Australia and I was training in these gyms, and like the steroid culture in Australia was way bigger than New Zealand's. And like, I was literally just training next to like people in the gym and these, some big online following guys, like I won't name names and stuff, but I just felt like a little bitch next to them. I'm like, no, fuck it. All right, I'm going back on because I'm going to try build a name in the fitness industry and get bigger. And then fucking, I just completely ran too much test trend. Like I went all in on this stupid cycle that was like all good while it was going like this. And then I tried to organize a PCT and it fell through because, these things aren't legal, in my country, like at the time. They probably still aren't now. And then my everything turned to shit, like in my life. Like this was around Vlog of the Gods, bro, like right at the peak.
This is what I'm saying. Like this is the times that I mean, yeah. That was more than just the Winstrol.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, because this is when I was like, I'm gonna be on the stand with like Cullen von Moger and stuff back then, and he was huge.
Right, I remember those videos. Yeah,
with the following, he was huge with the Snapchat and stuff, and then with his physical. He was peaked back then. Like, and I was like, fuck. I used it as motivation. Like, I'm gonna try to get it as big as him.
Yeah, well, yeah, your idea is in a sense logical. It's like you see these people around you be successful, and you know what they have done to get there, and you want that success really bad, so you're willing to do whatever it takes. And then you made that decision, like, and it's real that you talk about it also, because not many people do, and you've talked about this for a very long time already, even the time when you quit, I think, like.
Yeah, well, like there's a point where I just was like, my hormones crashed so bad, and my relationship turned shit with my ex-girlfriend, and we broke up, and I was trying to get into training, and I was struggling so hard because my hormones were so cooked. And then it just made me angry at the fitness industry. Like, it made me angry at how I was angry at myself for getting sucked into it. I was angry at myself for feeling like I needed to take something to be somebody, and then do it so poorly just from taking advice from people I shouldn't have been taking advice from. And then that's when I came out with a vid, which was like, fuck steroids, the fitness industry is fucked, or whatever. Yeah. And that was like, that was a big vid. A lot of people know me from that. And that was like a lot of support on that vid, but then there's just people like, oh, you just didn't know how to do it properly, you're an idiot. Like, and I was just a dumb young kid, but yeah, the overall message was good from that video. Like, it made people go, oh shit, I'm not just gonna start taking gear just because I see people doing it.
Exactly, man. I like, even if you do it perfect, they're like, you know, yes, you make mistakes, but even if you do it perfect, it's still fucking bad for you. Let's be honest, you know? Yeah. And especially like for me, it was like a TRT dosage is different. But then still, even for me, I realized that, you know, at this young of an age, like that is, you know, and I, like, for me, it was the same mental ideas of, I need to be better, you know, I need to have more. I'm not satisfied exactly with where I am.
I can fully relate to where your head would have been.
And it's like, even if you do it right, you know, I don't like, I only believe like that has a place for people who are, you know, in the top percentage of, you know, bodybuilding and earning a living with that, you know, if you decide to make a sacrifice. Otherwise, I feel like it cannot be worth it.
Yeah. I think for the general population, it's like, you know, I don't think it's worth it for most, unless maybe you're like really just passionate about bodybuilding. And
exactly, yeah. There are definitely like some exceptions, yeah.
But generally, like, most people are just trying to like do it to look like that, you know, that image without really thinking why they want to, or if it's actually good to do that.
And once you get the image, you want something else, you know, that's the whole mental game of it as well. Because you never
I'll tell you what, I competed last year. So it was 6 years, or maybe it was 5 or 6 years between the Vlog of the Gods. Actually, no, don't quote me on that. Maybe it was like 4 years or maybe 5 years between Vlog of the Gods. And then last year when I decided to get back on gear for my comp that I did last year.
You went on gear last year?
Last year, yeah. So
I wasn't sure. I was doubting. I was like, is that like, I don't know. It was like it could almost have been natty. Like, you were not like, were you using a lot or no? I wouldn't say.
No, I wasn't. And it was just 8 weeks as well. So,
but you were just so like fucking like, you know, you were like as dry as I was during my show, but you had like a lot more muscle, right? But like, it was sort of the same, sort of leanness, but then you were like even harder, like even, so I was like, this is impressive, bro. This is awesome. Yeah,
I did because the thing is, because I made the decision, I was doing a vlog series and I made the decision to do the gear for the show because I'm going to actually do it with my bloods done. I'm going to do it with the doctor. Okay. I'm going to take like reasonable dosages and actually get my diet in check and make sure I get shredded no matter what. And I came in like crazy. Like I said when I was filming the vlog series, I actually filmed my first episode. Yo guys, I've decided to jump on the gear. I'm going to do this properly. And then I didn't put it in the episode 1 because I was like, I don't want people's judgments of me saying that I'm on gear to then fuck with my head. Well, I've already made the decision anyway, and I'm going for it.
Right.
Did you do that when you jumped on the TRT as well?
No, I didn't. Like, people are around me and my parents, etc. Like, they knew, but not like people, you know, not like on the internet. Because I was going to try it first and see what it was like before I.
That's what I mean. Like, it's like, because then if you announce or you say you are, it's like, it's kind of like a private thing to the point, like, you're like, I'll probably end up telling people, but I don't want it at the time to fuck with my head, people's judgments of me doing this thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, look, yeah, I could die happy after looking how I looked last year. I'll never compete again. I'm like, I peaked and I'm happy with that. There's always things you're like, oh, I could make my chest a bit bigger and stuff, but I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. That's me. I probably will never ever do gear again.
Yeah. So see, like people have to realize as well, and that was a very well thought of decision of you then. And like, after, you know, you have well over 10 years of training. Maybe it's 15 for you. Like, it's it's a very long time. But I feel like so many people now, like, they just jump on way too quickly, you know. And if you look at the average gym, there is a lot of percentage of people using something. And then also you see them look good for a bit, and then they get.
Bro, yeah. That's it. That fluctuation. Like their goal is to hold that. And here's the thing, like it's crazy with the fitness industry. The standard of like what's a good physique is really
it's so unreal.
You know, like bro, like if I'm like literally out of peak shape and I upload something online, people are like, oh, he fell off and stuff. But then it's like I'll look better than like a celebrity like Lil Uzi Vert or something with his shirt off. But then like he gets like seen doing deadlifts or something, and people are like, yo, he's fucking jacked. He's got this crazy physique and shit. It's like, but like if you're in the fitness industry, like that'd be like not a crazy physique. But like, you know, like how I mean, the general perception is like so close.
Yeah. So Freeze, I'm wondering, like, so you've been in the fitness space for, you know, so many years, and in a way I feel like, and that's what I said in the beginning and in the intro, you know, about like not having the most amount of followers. In a way, I felt like you always deserved a little more than you got, perhaps, you know. Yeah, that's honestly what I thought, because you were always consistent and doing this for so many years, and I can see you put real like passionate in it. You're a very real guy, which doesn't always get appreciated, obviously, in an industry. But I feel like I'm wondering, you know, how did you stay persistent, you know, all these years, even though you may not have been growing at a rapid pace as someone else? Because like, even for me, like also I haven't like, you know, like I don't constantly blow up. I think if you do, you get these dopamine hits, and it's like easier to like, you know, to keep on a roll if you get a lot of attention, you know, a lot of people clapping constantly. So how do you stay consistent for the people that are watching that may also have slow growth or whatever it is, that are starting out?
That's a good question, bro. For me, I was just so headstrong of like, I'm never going to get a normal job and work a normal job. Like I was just so against it. I was like, if I do that, I've failed.
Yeah.
And as much as I went through some tough times and really hard, like depression of still trying to make content and be relevant and do all that stuff, I knew I wasn't going back to like something like working a job for someone else, or because there was always stuff around which I could have done like to get paid more money, because I went through some pretty hard financial positions over the years, just kind of just hanging in there. Because as well, I was like we were saying before this podcast, like you try to do everything yourself for so long, and like I know we're just saying how much better it is when you can delegate, make a team, and have, you know, team helping you. For me, I was trying to do so much shit for so long, and even when Gym Steez was going well, like I just didn't really have an understand. Like I was trying to do so much shit that like something would always slip under the radar, like expenses or like a shipping bill or like whatever it is. I wasn't making as much money as I thought I was, even if stuff was going well, but I didn't have someone to like, I should have identified it myself. But, you know, if you're in a team, people will be like, yo, this is exactly the summary of what's happening, where everything's at. Like kind of like tracking macros for like your business, you know what I mean? But
it's very relatable.
Yeah. I was just like not really good with that. And I was just trying to do too much shit by myself. But I kept hanging in there, bro. That's a good question, because as it was helpful to a lot of people saying like, yo, Freeze, you, like what you've just said, you should have more followers. I don't know how you don't. It was really hard for a few years trying to like just uploading so many vids and none of them going viral. Like literally, if anything, my reach going down with like views just progressively getting lower and lower and lower. So it was hard, man. It was hard, but I just knew I was never going to go back to like an ordinary job or something, like doing anything like that. I just, in my soul, I couldn't, you know? And it was hard, bro. Like I had a goal of mine when I was maybe 21. Like I got engraved on a little like metal necklace, and it was $1 million, 2707, 2017, I think it was, or it was it was 2019. And my goal was, when I'm 27, I want to have $1 million. And when I hit 27 and I was actually in debt, I was fucked. My views weren't much. And I was like at this point where I just felt like I wasn't being appreciated or recognized. And people were saying, why don't you have more followers? I was like, that was a hard place to be mentally, bro. For me, it was. So like that 3 years, I just kept going, man. And then fucking, bro, we made it. I did Gym Bros last year. And we're probably going to get to that, but like.
Awesome.
Man, crazy stuff, bro. I just hung in there, bro.
That's amazing, man. So I like you are saying that you've been doing a lot of things at the same time, which I've noticed about you, and it's one of the things that I recognize because I've been doing that also. And then you talk
Yeah.
mainly about the issue of, you know, not having people in your team. But do you feel like you've also just been doing a lot of projects at the same time? Do you feel like that's also sort of been difficult, you know, because of like not having a laser focus, but having like a diluted
Yeah,
focus?
yeah, yeah. I found it was like, because I was running Gym Steez, my clothing line,
Yeah.
which people loved, and we had a really good core following of people who really appreciated that. And then I had my online coaching, which was like, I would kind of dip in and out of each one because I'd try to do both, and then one would end up needing more or like require more for growth, and then the other one lacked. But a lot of the times that just meant my income, like it was never going up in the right direction. Like I know if I had have stopped coaching and just done Gym Steez, it probably would have done way better. And if I had have stopped Gym Steez and just done coaching, probably that would have done even better because there's no overheads in coaching comparatively with running the clothing brands. So, yeah.
Although those are lessons you learn also, and then you know, you start different things, and I feel like also people want to have the answer, like should I do this thing or that thing, but sometimes you just don't know, you know.
Yeah, you just want someone to tell you, and it's like no one can fucking tell you. Like
exactly, you're the only one that knows, sort of like, because you say like, yeah, coaching has less overhead costs, but then, you know, if you make the clothing very successful in a different way, that's possible too. It's just you know, if your energy is in that, I believe that could be a massive success. I actually love those shorts you gave them to me in what was it, back in the day, right? Those
the V2 track shorts.
Yeah. See that?
Everyone loves them, man. Like they're Gym Steez. They're the best seller.
Yeah, so Gym Steez doesn't exist anymore, so maybe you can touch on that a little bit as well. And like, what lessons you've learned from starting a clothing brand?
Yeah, like, so obviously I got in so early with the bodybuilding singlets back in the day. So it was just kind of like, I just loved clothing. I loved, like our biggest, when I first started Gym Steez, it was in 2012. And it was like, I noticed that pockets on plain t-shirts were doing really well. Like they were just like, everyone was wearing them. Like it was for my demographic, my age, everyone was just going to certain shops in New Zealand and buying these plain cotton tees with the pockets. And I was like, what if I was getting really bored of just selling Gold's Gym stuff? Cause I'm like, I had no creative input, and I'm like, yo, I need to just create something. Cause I'm a creator at heart, you know, like, yeah, maybe you're the same, but, I was like, I'm going to do these stringers with pockets on them because the pockets are popping, I think. And then we did them, bro. And like they went off, you know. It was just like the coolest, like most in fashion thing on a fucking bodybuilder stringer, you know? And that was when I think, we did a New Zealand Fitness Expo. I was like, had no money, but I had access to a credit card with like $5,000. And I just was like, yo, I almost didn't do the expo, but then I did it. Got a stands next to where Steve Cook was. He came over as well and was like, love this stuff. And he's like, bro, he was like pitching to me. He was like, I'm going to be filming some shit for bodybuilding.com. Like, I promise I'll wear your stringers in the video, you know, if you can give me some stringers. I'm like, bro, you're Steve Cook. I was going to give you some stringers, bro. I didn't care if you're filming it or not. Like, because I looked up to him like a lot at the time. He was someone in the fitness industry that was like right up there, you know?
Did he wear the stringers?
Yeah, he wore them in the bodybuilding.
Wow.
It was really cool to see. I was like, oh shit, this is crazy. So
that's awesome.
Like Gym Steez was already doing well. And then obviously that would have helped a bit as well, I think, for that brand awareness and especially of that product because it was so unique. But so shout out to Big Stevie.
Yeah. So why do you decide to quit at some point, you know?
With the clothing. So basically with Gym Bros, which is the NFT collection that we've built with me and my partners. Do we want to start talking about NFTs? Do you want to
okay, let's get into that then. So then first, before we get into that, can you give a quick explanation for those that have no idea what we're going to talk about? Like what the blockchain is and NFTs, like a quick one, because, you know.
Yeah, of course. So basically it's blockchain is just basically proof of ownership with smart contracts. So unlike if you coded a website of like, yo, Marian owns this and it's in like a database or something, that could always be edited. You know, like you could go in and edit that if you had the back end. With blockchain and the technology of that, if you own an NFT, which it's represented by a digital art piece, usually, it's really the technology behind that is like, it can't be edited. If you own that, you own that. So if that art piece you own was the first ever like of this or that or whatever it was, that means, you know, you own that, no one can dispute it. And it's programmed into the, you know, usually a cryptocurrency, like ours runs on Ethereum, the Jim Bros collection. Yeah. So it means you can buy and sell it at any time. So it's, in terms of like the accessibility, it's so easy to move as an asset. And heaps of them aren't assets. There's heaps of shit ones, but a good NFT, and this is what we realized when we were building Jim Bros, was that a good NFT will be associated with utility. So it's not just the digital collectible that you get, the artwork. It's what is associated with that, which is basically like you use it as like a good collection will use it as like a membership platform. If you own this, you get a benefit.
Exactly.
So when I started building, when I thought of the idea for Jim Bros, it was in a weird time in NFTs where it was so niche and all these stupid JPEGs with no utility. There was nothing. If you owned it, it didn't mean shit, but it was just an NFT and people were going hype for them. These collections were selling out with like no utility. And when we started doing Jim Bros, we're just like, yo, we just want to be the first ever fitness NFT collection ever to exist on the blockchain. But as we were building it and we realized we wanted to sell, you know, really do well and sell a lot, we realized that if we can associate utility with that, it's going to be a lot easier to sell. So yeah, that's when it like, so but yeah, basically an NFT is, it can be so many different things, but mainly it's a digital collectible.
Yeah. So Jim Bros, how did you got the idea by seeing, you know, the NFT space slowly coming there and no one doing this in the fitness industry? And what's the idea behind Jim Bros? Can you explain that a little bit about the gym that you guys want to build? And
yeah. So with NFTs, like I just saw, it's hard, man, because like NFTs have such an interesting, they're going through that point of what like the website domain names went through when they were popping, and like there was that period where like people are just buying domain names thinking a domain name's going to be successful, but it's like, it's not a domain name. It's the fucking business you build on that's successful or not, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And so there's heaps of shit NFTs, and I think it's given them a lot of like bad reputation by people who don't really understand it. But that's okay. Like we kind of rode the wave at a point where NFTs were really popping and people were like, oh, I need to own an NFT. To now, like, it's kind of like, they've seen so many shit ones. They're like, it's less of a, like the hype's kind of off it. But
a lot of people have made use of, you know, starting these NFTs and then, like, I don't know the English word, but then, you know, like quitting the companies and taking the money. And
yeah, it's crazy to see like the amount of like that shit that's happened, which kind of gives them a bad rap, but there's some really good ones that are going to be here to stay for a long time. And with Jim Bros, like our one's that, you know, which is why we have a lot of utility associated with it. So yeah, we're aiming to be the first ever NFT collection in the world to build a real life gym, which we're going to be building out here in Australia. So if you own the NFT, you actually have a lifetime membership to the gym.
Yeah. And I got 3 Jim Bros. So I'll be there once, once the gym opens up. Yeah. I can't wait. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%, man. And like,
it's cool.
Yeah. I appreciate you being interested in it and, you know, wanting to like support it and get involved.
Definitely, man. So like, I'm wondering like, why do you believe that, you know, not just NFTs, but probably Bitcoin as well, like any coins, the blockchain is the future? Why do you believe so?
Well, with NFT, like here's the thing, right? Like let's say you as Marian build out like a business which has like a membership platform. Like with NFTs, what's really, you're going to see a lot of businesses using it because in the back end you can code that whenever an NFT sells, a percentage of that sale goes to you, the creator of the NFT. So like, let's say for an art piece, let's say the Mona Lisa, it sells. Once it's sold, everyone that sells that makes money on it. And the guy who sold it in the first place only has the initial money that was made. With NFTs, every time that thing sells, a commission is programmed into the back end of which benefits the business. Some NFT collections use this though. They'll use that percentage to give back to the community, which is really cool. That's what's cool about NFTs. So with ours, a lot of our secondary revenue is actually going to be going towards doing cool stuff for people in our community who maybe live overseas. We're going to fly them out once the gym's up and running for like all expense paid for holidays, like just cool stuff. But what's cool about NFTs and why I think they're here to stay is because it's basically like the consumer can get rewarded by the growth of the company. So it's not like if you own a Jimbro NFT, you don't own a percentage of our Jimbro's company, but you own an asset which is associated with everything that we're doing as a company, which if we're doing really good stuff and the price goes up and the demand goes up and the supply is limited, there's only ever 10,000 Jimbros. That's when you as the community and you as the owner can set the price of, well, I bought it for this much. Now it's worth this much because the brand's grown this much. And then that's when you can say, if you own a couple of Jimbros, like, yo, I own this Jimbro, it gives me the lifetime membership, but I've got 2 more. The value's gone up heaps. I'm getting offers. I may as well sell them. You can make money as someone who's consumed, who's bought into bought an NFT of the Jimbros collection.
Pretty cool, man.
So, but I think
I'm wondering, like, do you think that at some point, because people are talking about this, that houses could be sold as an NFT, instead of like having to go through?
So bro, 100%. It just like an NFT, like a smart contract, it cuts out that middleman of like a real estate agent or something. It's like I think that's where we're going to see. I think we're going to see the future of NFTs is it's tied to things like car sales, real estate sales. Again, I think membership tokens as NFTs is going to be huge. Like essentially Jimbros as well. It's like there's what's cool about it. I heard Gary Vee say this the other day. He's been a big reason that I went all in on Jimbros. Was that because it's got that collectible element, that there's the art that makes it exciting. It's hosted on on Ethereum, which is the cryptocurrency, but it's not completely like if Ethereum goes down, people still set the price, like the community, of what the NFT should be based on the value you get from owning it, which is, with ours, you get free items of clothing every year just by owning. And just like things like that, it's like you get benefits from owning. So like that's where the biggest NFT collections are going to, they're going to be still here in 3, 4, 5 years. It's going to be the ones that gave the holders the most benefit. So,
yeah. And I also I do hope that, NFTs can also, and they already do, provide some more artists, with an actual way of making money. Because, a lot of artists have a hard time doing this, and now I see that some of them, well, most artists have the problem also that they're very creative, but then they don't have, the business mindset. So
business mindset,
so that's difficult.
So
if it would be more accessible for artists also, then I think that would be great as well, because I feel like they don't really get the attention they deserve, in a way.
Bro, like 100%. Like I'll say, I think it was 2 weeks ago on Twitter, there was just a random Indian artist that I found. He had done a 3D Photoshop render, like this piece of art that I just loved. And I just messaged him. I'm like, bro, do you have this available as an NFT? Because I want to buy it off you. And like this dude was from India, man. And I just loved his artwork. I paid him maybe 1,000 USD. And I looked at I paid him 1,000 USD to mint this as an NFT and sell it to me, just because I was like, I'm in a position I want to give back to an artist, an independent artist in the space who's probably maybe before NFTs never made any money off his digital art,
That's amazing.
And I looked at the median income of where he's from, and it's I pretty much paid him the average wage of what 2.5 months work would be for just one piece of art that he did. So I'm like, who knows, that could have changed his life.
That's amazing.
Which is exciting, because this guy's in a third world country, and then some random guy like myself
that's cool.
Just coming.
Yeah, in a way, I feel like this is all really exciting stuff. Because since a young age, also I've been a world traveler. I've never been in this mindset of I only want to do stuff here in the Netherlands because this is where I'm from. And I feel like we have like us connecting now. You're on the other side of the freaking planet, literally. That's just amazing. And now we have all these opportunities. But then I also see a certain a certain danger, or a certain like feeling do you believe that, in a couple of years or in the future, we'll be living in a virtual world and we'll have goggles on and be inside of our house all day. Do you believe that? Because I don't like, I feel like there's going to be a part of the community or the people that are going to, but I feel like there's also going to be people that are like, fuck this. We need to get back to how it really was. You know?
Yeah. I believe, and this is a good question, Ryan, like, because I think about this as well. I believe it's going to be like social media to the point where people can have it in their lives and it is just an extra thing. And like, it's something that can supplement their lives when they're bored, maybe they'll scroll. And then there's people that are completely addicted to it and it ruins their mental health and it like their life outside of it is bad because they spend so much time on that. It's going to be the same. Like if the technology, I believe the technology is going to get good enough where you can go in there and it's going to be crazy. So there's going to be people who can't control their like addictive nature and their dopamine hits and stuff of like being like, why would I be in my life when it sucks when I can go in this one and I'm the man? Like it's going to get there, bro. But for like with what we're doing with Gym Bros, because we see the metaverse as such like a big hype thing. Like a lot of NFT collections have really, you know, used the hype of the metaverse to be successful. Like maybe like December was really like a big time where it was like, oh, metaverse. Now it's like, yeah, that metaverse is probably a couple of years away. So like the hype dies down, but yeah, I think it's going to happen. But I mean, I know personally, I'm interested to like get a taste of it, but I'm interested in making my real life the best I can make it, you know?
Yeah.
And enjoying the real world. But who knows? You know, I believe maybe in a few years we'll be doing a podcast like this in the metaverse, and we might even be a Gym Bro avatar. But it's just like something fun we do, you know?
Yeah. If we can keep it at that, I would say it could be a nice you know, extra thing in our lives if we're able to control it. But like that could be hard with all the dopamine hits, etc. So I guess we just got to be mentally even more strong than we are now, just to make sure that, you know,
dude. Yeah. Technology is such a powerful thing. Hey, like, like, I know I feel like out of anyone online that I can relate to the most with technology, like, and being online affecting your mental health, I'd say you're the guy I can relate to most, because I see you actually have breaks and like do vids and say, yo, like I was just my mental health wasn't good. I'm like, but I feel like there's not many people in the industry and like online with social media that actually do like talk about that. Or like, are we just sensitive or what? Like, I don't know. Do you like, cause you know a few people, like, does everyone go through it?
So I feel like part of it, I'm definitely, you know, a sensitive dude. I am emotionally invested also in other people, and, you know, and I think you are too, you know, so that is definitely part of it. But then also, I would say that, you know, we both, and that this is something I said already, I admire about you. We share the realness, we share, you know, transparency, the things that are actually going on in our lives, and a lot of people don't. So they may make content when they're, let's say you're in really good shape in summer, and some people, they make content for the whole fucking year, then they get out of shape, but no one knows that they're out of shape. And then I see them in real life and I'm like what the fuck, you look different on those photos.
Bro.
And you know, and that's with guys, and girls do the same thing, you know. A lot of them, like, even more. And then there used to be an era where there was a lot of Photoshop, you know, that era when you started a couple years later, we had all these guys like fucking, you know, Photoshopping and making themselves bigger. And I don't even remember these names anymore, but these people from Shreds, you know, Shreds, the company, like there were a lot of these people there that did that. And so that was a period. There's always a new period where people, you know, try to like show people the different, you know, different reality and what's actually going on, you know. And I think we don't do that, and that's the difference. And that may also be why we don't blow up as much, a part of it, you know, because it's not as extreme, and, you know, people like extreme shit as well.
It's this weird thing, right, of like the more extreme or like showy or like showing the perfect life, like people know it's not real or not good for them or whatever, to see it all, but they want to see it. It's what works. And it's
exactly,
like,
they want to see it. Yeah.
Right. And I swear, like there's so many people that don't give a fuck about the people who follow them, and they just make so much money, and like people buy their shit and they get ripped off. They like rip people off and shit. And well, it's like, it's crazy to me, man. But
yeah. And I feel like a part of it like is fine. You don't want to like be transparent every single fucking day, because then, you know, like let's say we get on a podcast and we both like do this sometime, we have no energy, you know, it'll probably suck, you know, it'll not be like a good episode. So at the same time, we want to like create content and be energized and do this when we're at our best. You know, you're not going to give a speech when you don't feel at your best, or you get into your best.
I think that's where I fucked up a little bit.
Right. And then I feel like sometimes you have to also let this vulnerable part see, but not like all the time. That's what
you have to limit it to like maybe like 5%, like being shit on camera anymore. And people are like fucking like, I remember like if I was actually genuinely feeling down, I'd like, sometimes I'd upload a video and talk about how down I was and shit. Right.
Yeah.
And then like I'd upload the vid and I'll be uploading the vid like 5 days later. And then I was like feeling great. And then I uploaded this vid and then people message me, man, are you okay? Like, and I'm like, oh fuck. Like I've kind of just brought that negativity back into my life when I'm feeling better.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So there's
I just
sort of two sides to it, man. But
shouldn't have let people know I was sad that time.
No, it's all good. I think it's a great message to also share that part of your life. But then, you know, at the end of the day, we try to inspire people, we try to help people, we try to, you know, teach them something. And I feel like you do that when you have good energy. And I usually like when I'm like, I've not made a video very often when I'm down and then I make the video. I make the video when I feel good afterwards, talking back about that time when I was feeling down.
Yeah.
And I might do some clips when I feel down just to like, but you never really like, at least I want to put social media away when I'm feeling down. It's like the last thing that I want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
definitely.
And I feel like when I had the burnout, I did make a video because then, and it was just this moment when I was like, I feel like I need to do this right now. And then, you know, it comes from the heart and it's, you know, it's great.
Yeah.
And that is like real vulnerability, you know, when a moment like that happens. But yeah, I do agree with what you say, you know, obviously like there is like the more extreme, the more louder you scream, the more eyes you're going to get, you know, but is that necessarily what you want? I'm not sure, you know, and right now you found something you're really passionate about and you're growing this new project and it's something completely different, you know? And so does it really matter? You know, it doesn't really matter, like the followers and the count.
Well, that's what's crazy. Like, it's like, I could never upload on YouTube ever again or post on Instagram ever again right now if I wanted to, and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's great. That's a totally different mindset that you would have a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I have to say now.
Say that. It's crazy for me to say that out loud because I would have never thought that would be possible, you know? But that doesn't mean I'm never going to upload it on social media ever again. But it means that now when I do, it's like, it's going to be good content because I am happy to and actually want to. And I'll like, you know, like there's no, I need to do this to be relevant or like, which can sometimes fuck you up and make you just upload shit that you're not in the best place to be uploading from, you know?
Exactly, man. Yeah. And I feel like it's a paradox too, because in a way I feel like, you know, we're at the stage now because we have other things going on, but we only have those other things because we also did this thing before, right? So if we never went through that mental struggle of like making those videos or only doing it when we felt like, you know, we wanted to, then we would also not be at this place where we are now. So,
you can't, we can't discredit like everything we've done before this moment, you know,
exactly.
Like,
so
be where we are today.
Exactly, man. So anyway, bro, man, I wanted to wrap it up here, man. I think we had a really awesome conversation and I definitely want to do this again. As I said, I think you're an awesome dude, you know, just as a friend, but then also I think it's cool to see what you've done as an entrepreneur over the years, you know, starting with the Gold's Gym Stringers and now, you know, having that goal of opening your own gym and the NFT project. I think it's awesome.
Thank you, bro. And I appreciate it, my man. And likewise back at you, bro. Like I said, you're someone who's probably like the most relatable person I'd find in the fitness industry, like comparatively with myself and everything you've done over the years, man. And I'll tell you, bro, you know what was funny? When I messaged you on WhatsApp, it was like the number came up and it was like student aesthetics. And I'm like, this motherfucker's name is student aesthetics. Like, how did I forget? Like you've done well to like rebrand? Because you're probably in that middle point, where people would call you student aesthetics for ages.
Oh, definitely, man. People would call me like on the street. People would be like, "Yo, student." Like, oh, yeah, they would call me student. I was like, I dropped out of university a year, and I was like, I'm not even a fucking student.
Yeah, you're like, this needs to change.
This is funny, but yeah, no. So that rebranding was sort of difficult because then I had to take a step back in order to take a step forward, right? Like, but it was really, really good that I did. Yeah. Like now I'm really happy with it. So, but that took a while, yeah. So we learn, we try different things, man, and we connect, we constantly like redefine who we are, and you do the same thing,
Yeah. You got it,
reinvent yourself. So anyway, thanks, bro. Thanks for the time. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, make sure to, shoot us a message on Instagram. Would appreciate that. And we'll see you and talk to you in the next one. Peace out, guys.